She has been an amazing presence in the House. We're really going to miss her when she walks up to the... Come on,
Come on, everybody come and sit down so we can get a good shot.
When she walks down to the well to speak, she commands respect. I think many of you may already know Bee. I knew her to be such an amazing, articulate, but I especially remember after we won the election in 2020, yes, thank you, Georgia was here in DeKalb. After we won that election with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and then the Senate runoff with Ossoff and Warnock, you know, the pushback began immediately. And I remember when the state committees were calling these hearings, governmental affairs was calling hearings, like when Giuliani came down and they talked to the Senate, you know, and Senator Parent pushed back on that. But then when they spoke in governmental affairs, I remember being in my kitchen, watching the Zoom. Many of you may have done that too, where we had Bee and Representative Oliver and Renita Shannon, all three wonderful DeKalb strong women on governmental affairs. But Bee was prepared with a list of questions. There was this, you know, questionable data analyst from the MAGA campaign, and he was bringing up these things, and she had a question by question, called him out, took him down, and proved that his allegations were false. And so that was just one of many things that's been highlighted on, you know, I hope you've gotten to see that moment on their campaign wheels. But anyway, welcome, Bee. Thank you so much for coming here to DeKalb Legislator Bee Wynn, our next Secretary of State.
Well, good afternoon, DeKalb Democrats. My name is Bee Wynn. I am the proud Democratic nominee for Georgia Secretary of State, and I've had the honor of representing House District 89, which is now 90, in DeKalb, Atlanta. So, we know that this election coming up, this is about mobilization, and this is about making sure we turn voters up, right? Yes. Before I ran for office, I worked in our public school systems for 10 years in DeKalb and Atlanta. One of those schools that I worked in when I first came in 2009, that graduation rate, 42%. Immoral, right? And one thing that I learned was I had to show up and advocate on behalf of the students that I serve. So, by heart and by trade, I am an organizer. I am an advocate. In 2018, we know when Stacey Abrams ran for governor, one of the most important things was making sure we had conversations with everyone. In 2018, my for Stacey Abrams, and we knocked 30 doors for Stacey. That's a lot of work. We started off in the hot summer in June, and 5 women showed up on the first canvas lunch. Some of them are here, right there. 5 women. And by the time we got to election day, the 3 days leading up to election day, over 1,000 people showed up at my house. Wow. I let 1,000 people, strangers, use my bathroom. Okay? That's how much I love Stacey Abrams. And it was not pretty. But that's the kind of movement that we have been building in the state of Georgia. And we know that when we are rooted in community, we're rooted in building movements, we remind folks of the importance of their voice, and we win. That in 2020, we pulled Georgians together from every corner of our state based on the shared values of democracy and equality for all. We delivered a win for President Biden. And then we did it again in 2021. By an even bigger margin, sending to Congress for the first time in Georgia's history, our first Black Senator, Reverend Raphael Warnock. Our first Jewish Senator, Senator John Ossoff. I call them the brothers from Georgia. Our brothers from Georgia. And that is exactly why Georgia Republicans have have tried to make it harder for Georgians to vote. Now, Representative Evans talked about this already, but I want to take you back to 2020. We know that Republicans at the state and national level, they coordinated to sow seeds of doubt around the validity of vote by mail. Vote by mail, no excuse, no ID. That was passed under Republican control to increase rural turnout. And they used it in greater numbers than we did up until 2020 when we were learning how to vote safely during a pandemic. And they did it early on because they knew come 2020 November when we delivered, they were going to use it as a premise to try to invalidate the will of the people. And that's exactly what they did. They sent Rudy Giuliani and Trump's legal team into our legislative committees. They subjected us to 8 hours of lies and misinformation and conspiracy theories. And when I fought back, and when I had the backs of Georgians, they put my address on our right-wing gun site, and they called me a traitor, and they called for my execution. Wow. And then, they didn't stop there. They sent alternative electors into our state capitol to try to invalidate the will of the people. And one of those alternative electors, he is the lieutenant governor candidate on the Republican side. Wow. And then my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, behind closed doors, they said, we actually don't believe the election was stolen. And then they're on that Texas law trying to invalidate the will of the people. Now, I was pretty naive. I was watching it like all of y'all. History. Sitting president, peaceful transfer hour, inciting a deadly and violent insurrection. And I thought, surely they're going to have a moment of reflection and think about how their actions led up to this moment. But here's what happened instead. We went into legislative session 2021, and our state reps can tell you, Representative Evans, Representative Jenner, Representative Moore, our Capitol was gay with guards because of the threats to our democracy. And what did Republicans do? They did not have one conversation about how we still failed to expand Medicaid, denying over 500,000 Georgians access to health insurance. They did not have one single conversation about how kids have been learning virtually for a year and they were preparing to go back into school. They did not have one conversation about how the Department of Labor continued to ignore the calls of my constituents, many of whom lost their jobs, their cars, and sometimes their houses. Instead, they said, we are going to pass a 98-page voter suppression bill predicated on lies. That 98-page bill that makes it harder to apply for an absentee ballot, and we have seen the rejection rate increase under the new law. That 98-page bill that took away the secure drop boxes that were so popular that even the governor used them. In a county like DeKalb, we went from double digits to single digits. That 98-page bill that makes it a crime to hand out a bottle of water to a voter waiting in line in a state like Georgia, where in 2020 people waited 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, 11 hours just to exercise their constitutional right. That 98-page bill that opened the door to unlimited voter challenges. In Gwinnett County the other week, Trump allies, they went to Gwinnett County and they challenged the voting eligibility of 37,000 voters alone in one county. Here's the deal. My opponent is running on Senate Bill 202. We have a sitting Secretary of State who does not believe in voter expansion. He endorses voter restriction. You all know better than I do. The hard-fought battle to ensure that every eligible American has the right to vote, that Georgians have the right to vote, those who bled and died for us. I reject the premise that voters have to prove their resiliency. I reject the premise that Black and brown voters have to wait in line longer than anyone else to cast their ballots. I reject the premise that people should jump through hoops just to exercise their constitutional rights. Haven't we already done that? Have we not already required people to count jelly beans, to pay poll taxes, to pass a literacy test? And here we are in 2022. Republicans do not want every eligible voter to have equal access to the ballot box. And we know why that is so important. The foundation of our democracy is based on this premise: one person, one vote. That when you go into the voting booth, no matter what part of the state you live in, no matter the color of your skin, whether or not you own property, whether or not you are educated, have money, don't have money, when you go to the ballot box, one person, one vote. Your vote is as powerful as anybody else's across the state. That is the great equalizer. That is exactly why they try to gerrymander. That is exactly why they want to make it harder for people to show up, because there is nothing greater than the power of one person, one vote.
Yes.
So here's the deal. You all know it's an uphill battle in Georgia. They told us we were not going to win in 2020. They told us we were not going to win in 2021, and we proved them wrong. We've got a job here to do in November. When we go and we cast our ballot, we are saying we do not believe people in the state of Georgia should have to die if they don't have access to health insurance. We are saying we believe our public education system should be fully funded and equitable, and that when a child is brought into this world, they have an opportunity from cradle to career. We are saying that we believe when a person goes into the doctor's office, the decisions they make about their body belongs to them and not the government. We are saying that when we send our kids to school, when we go to our places of worship, when we go to the grocery store, we should not have to live in fear of being gunned down. We are saying that we believe that the government belongs to the people, that everybody who is eligible to vote should be able to exercise and wield that power without barriers. And we can only do it if we remind people of the importance of our voices, of our power in the state of Georgia. And we know DeKalb County is instrumental to wins in Georgia. That means talking to everybody we know. So I was telling folks earlier, my sister is getting married tonight. Oh. I am going to her wedding. And she said, you're going to two campaign events on the day of my wedding? And I said, you're getting married 60 days before a major election. I said, I will be at your wedding, I promise, and I'm not going to be late, I promise that too. But this week, earlier, I've got four horses. They all went to the nail salon. They were getting their nails done for the wedding. I was at home making calls, trying to raise money, and I said, I think I'm going to go and meet my sister. And I walk into the nail salon, and all the older Vietnamese ladies said, oh, you are Bwin. We have seen you, we've read about you, and now you're here in person. And I said, did you all know the Secretary of State's office regulates cosmetology licenses? And if I'm Secretary of State, I'm going to invest in language access so when you go and take the test, you can take it in your native language. So, talk to your Uber drivers. Talked to my Uber driver the other day, and she is mad as hell. She said they have no idea what they're doing, trying to take women's rights away. They have no idea how this is going to affect us, not just economically, not just from a healthcare perspective, but people are going to die from this. She said they have no idea how angry we are. But then she went on to say, but when I'm talking to my friends, they're feeling like it doesn't matter if we vote. And I said, it most certainly matters if we vote. They spent 50 years trying to overturn Roe v. Wade, and they want us to be tired, and they want us to believe that we should just cede our power to them, and we will not cede our power to them. So, talk to your Uber drivers, talk to the ladies who do your nails, the people who cut your hair, the servers who wait on you, because they're tired of making $2.13 an hour and depending on tips too. And we gotta remind them, hey, guess what? It's our Republican legislature who refuses to raise our minimum wage and provide people with livable wages. They're the ones who refuse to provide protections for workers. So, it's all hands on deck. All hands on deck. And here's the thing, we know we can do it because we've done it before. Stacey Abrams, she says, I'm good at math, and I'm sure she is real good at math. There are more of us than them.
Right.
Senator Jen Jordan said, Georgia's not a blue state or a red state, it's a who show up state. So, 2022, here we come, ignore the polls, ignore the pundits, talk to everyone you know, and wield your sacred, most fundamental, most powerful, non-violent tool at the voting box, because we owe it to the younger generation coming up behind us who has fewer rights than we did. We owe it to the older generation who have spent their time organizing and fighting for us, and now they can't even rest in peace. So we owe it to the people of Georgia. We deserve better. We're going to get this done in DeKalb with you all. The most effective way to do it is you. The face-to-face conversations with people you know, you love, you trust, people you meet along the way. You are our messengers. We're going to get it done in DeKalb. And then I got to thank my friend, Larry Johnson, sitting in the front seat. Here's the thing about leadership. He is somebody who has been advocating for expanded voting access in the state of Georgia. And DeKalb has led the way on voting access in other languages because he knows that we got to meet people where we are. We're a diverse state in the state of Georgia, and it requires all hands on deck. So let's get this done, DeKalb County. Bring the victory runs through our district, every part of DeKalb. Let's get it done, y'all.
Bea has a few more minutes if anyone would like to ask her any questions.
I wanted to remind everyone that this last election passed that the governor actually took away powers of the Secretary of State. And that's horrible because the Secretary of State does not answer to governor, but he went through us to do it.
So what Representative Moore was talking about, in addition to all the provisions that we talked about in Senate Bill 202, Senate Bill 202 also stripped the Secretary of State of some powers, which is he is no longer a voting member of the State Board of Elections. And that is important, but here's the reality. The State Board of Elections relies on the Secretary of State's office for resources. They're a volunteer board only, and part of the task is to make sure that when I'm Secretary of State, I have that relationship with the State Board of Elections so that we can do the job of protecting voters and that we can carry out the tasks in hand. There will be limitations on what the Secretary of State can do under Senate Bill 202 until we can have a Democratic legislature who's willing to repeal the law. But here are some things that can't be done without that, right? We invest in voter education and outreach, make sure that voters know the fast-changing laws. The current Secretary of State was among a group of Republican secretaries of state who recently signed a letter to President Biden and asked him to rescind an executive order. That executive order requires our state agencies to invest more in voter registration and voter education. The question we should ask is, why do we have a Secretary of State who doesn't want voters to have more information? We can change that. We got to invest in voter education and voter outreach. We got to equip our local election boards with the resources that they need to run free and fair elections in all 159 counties. We got to train them, protect our poll workers, invest in language access, and we got to mitigate some of the harms of Senate Bill 202. So here's an example. As Secretary of State, I would build a kiosk, and that kiosk would enable a there's a web signature requirement. It's no longer you can do it on the internet like we did. We have these kiosks, you print out your application, sign it. renew your corporation license. You put it in grocery stores, libraries, all across the state of Georgia. It's called Meeting Georgians Where We Are. And those are some of the, even with the limitations of Senate Bill 202.
Thank you. Any more questions? Great. Thank you so much, Bea. I hope you have a wonderful time at your sister. It's so exciting. One more big round of applause for Bea. Thank you so much, Bea. And now I'm really excited to welcome another House colleague here to DeKalb, William Bodie, Representative William Bodie. He is also a trusted colleague and good friend. He lives in East Point. He was elected to the legislature in 2016, yes, and he's an attorney friend, a very trusted friend. When legal matters come up, that I would go to Bodie. I wouldn't call him Bodie. It's Representative Bodie. And also he has 27 bills as a Democrat in the House, which is amazing. But the one that all of you all have heard of is the repeal of the citizens arrest law. He was a co-sponsor of that, and of course that was the law that was passed in reaction to Ahmaud Arbery's murder back in February 23rd of 2020. Yeah. So I'm just so grateful that he was able to join us today. He used to be a former DeKalb neighbor. He used to live along River Road in Ellenwood. And we're just so grateful you're here today. And he is going to be an amazing labor commissioner. And he can tell you all that. We all know, as Representative Wynn just said, Georgia does not do enough to protect workers, to advocate for workers. And under Bodie's leadership, he is the one to help us do that in the Labor Department. So I want to welcome William Bodie for the commissioner.
Representative Evans, thank you so much for just all your hard work for the citizens of DeKalb County, for putting on such an amazing event. And I have to make sure I say my colleagues, Representative Angela Moore, Representative Carla Drenner, thank you all for being here. And always I get a chance to speak after my dear friend, Representative B. Wynn, our next day. So always good to be in the house with her and be able to speak with her when we're talking about issues that are going to affect Democrats. But also I have to acknowledge my dear friend, Commissioner Larry Johnson, who's the president of all county commissioners in the country, so that's huge. And of course, our CEO, my dear friend, the last great one, no, I'm saying one of the greatest labor commissioners the state of Georgia has ever had, CEO Michael Thurman. Thank you, my brother. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Well, my name is State Representative William Bodie, but I'm not here as a state representative today. I'm here as your next Democratic Labor Commissioner.
Come on, yeah!
Now, we're still technically in the same week as Labor Day, and I want to say this, that the middle class and organized labor is the backbone of this country and this state. So I want to say this today. As your next Georgia Labor Commissioner, I'm going to put the Georgia workers first. And we're going to make sure that we do that by getting me elected and this historic statewide diverse Democratic ticket elected. We have the opportunity to win big in November and turn Georgia blue in November. We have done it once before, we have done it twice before, and we're going to do it a third time. And with DeKalb County support, we can get it done. So thank you all for being out today. I'm going to talk a little bit about me running for Labor Commission. One, it is on a literally asleep at the wheel for over 2 years during the global pandemic, which is COVID-19. As a state legislator, I was on calls with constituents in my district and also citizens from across the state of Georgia who lost their job to no fault of their own. They could not get anyone on the phone with the Georgia Department of Labor. They could not get their emails returned, phone calls returned, and the doors to the Department of Labor were locked and closed. Suicide because they don't know how they're going to pay their bills on that Friday. I had seniors calling me saying, Representative Bowden, I don't know how I'm going to pay my light bill and pay for my prescription medication. Our seniors should not have to make that decision because if they have filed like any other Georgian, their unemployment benefits certified and approved, they need to receive their unemployment benefits in a reasonable time frame.
That's right.
Like it was under this gentleman, my dear friend, CEO Michael Thurman. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit of story. When Michael Thurman was the labor commissioner for the state of Georgia, we had, if y'all remember, back in 2008, 2009, the recession hit us hard. The recession hit us very hard. It was when the housing market went belly up. And a young man down in Macon, Georgia had lost his job to no fault of his own. And he had applied for his unemployment benefits, and he was approved. But for whatever reason, direct deposit wasn't the direct deposit system that we have now, or the check might have got lost in the mail. But on the 6th floor of the Georgia Department of Labor, right down on Andrew Young International, he got the call that this young man on Thursday, this was Thursday, the next day he was going to be evicted because he didn't have his unemployment check. What our CEO, Michael Thurman, did as labor commissioner at the time, he took one of his employees, put them in a Georgia Department of Labor car, and had them drive to Macon, Georgia to deliver that check in hand. And that young man did not get evicted that next day on Friday. That's what we call servant leadership. As a labor commissioner, you gotta have a labor commissioner that care about people, that have an empathy and has grace and want to help people during their most trying times. Because when you call the Department of Labor, you're going through two situations in your life. You lost your job, and you need a safety net to help you get to that next job opportunity because you lost your job to no fault of your own, or you're trying to find another opportunity in employment with training and retraining opportunity. So you get a living wage paying job, so you don't have to go from job 1 to job 2 to job 3 to make ends meet. So I would do that as your next Georgia Labor Commissioner. Now, it's also personal for me as well. When I was growing up, my father worked at a warehouse. The warehouse got bought out. And when the warehouse was bought out, my dad lost his job to no fault of his own. And he had to certify for 4 weeks to get his unemployment benefits. And I think about when he was working and how happy he was. I used to be a young boy at the time, and he would leave and I'd high-five him because he worked at night. And sometimes when he came home, I would sleep because it was late, me and my brother. But sometimes I would wake up and I was excited when he got in the house because I would smell Waffle House coming in the house with him. And I used to get up and eat with my dad and my mom. But then I noticed one day he wasn't going to work anymore. And so I realized, why is my dad not going to work? And why is he on the phone on Sunday nights dialing these numbers? And I realized later on in life that he was recertifying for his unemployment benefits. And luckily and prayerfully that my father received his unemployment benefits timely every week. But I think about if Mark Butler was the labor commissioner when my dad lost his job, I'd be in trouble, Larry. I would not be standing here right now. I would not have graduated from Banneker High School in South Fulton. I would not have graduated from Valdosta State University and pledged Kappa Alpha Psi. I would not have graduated from Mercer Law School in Macon. I would have not become a practicing attorney. I would not have had the opportunity to represent my district of House District 62 and my neighbors in South Fulton and Douglas County. I would not be standing here as the Democratic nominee for Georgia Labor Commission. That's how serious the Department of Labor is. Yes. But my Republican opponent, Thompson, seems to think, CEO Michael Thurman, that we need to cut the Department of Labor budget even more. Now, the Department of Labor budget has been cut consistently by the Republicans in the General Assembly since 2017. So what sense does that make? So we need a labor commission that's going to care about workers. I want to make sure we fully staff the Department of Labor. Like when my dear friend, CEO Michael Thurman's Labor Commission, we had over 4,000 employees with the Georgia Department of Labor across the state. Yes. Now we have about 1,100, 1,200 employees. Gosh. We had 83 career centers across the state of Georgia. Now we have 42. Those career centers serve as satellite offices for the Georgia Department of Labor to help citizens in those counties throughout the state. So I want to change that. I want to make sure that we fully staff and we modernize the Department of Labor and we make sure that we have a Department of Labor that's responsive. That's right. And I want to have a call center set up. So when you call the Georgia Department of Labor, you don't get the business here. Yeah. You get a live human being that's going to say, look, how can I help you? Yes. And what do you need? It's called customer service. And so we're going to provide that. But also, I'm running against an individual that believes a woman should not have the right to choose. Not only does not believe a woman does not have the right to choose, also he believes that a woman does not have the right to choose even in the case where she's been raped. And she's reported that crime to law enforcement. Come on. Bruce Thompson believes that a child who has been the victim of incest should not have the right to make the decision with her family to choose what to do with her body. He also doesn't believe when a woman in a possibility of death, where her medical provider said, ma'am, if you go through with this pregnancy, you may die. He does not even believe a woman has the right to choose in that circumstance where her life is on the line. How should we have an individual that's going to be the Georgia Department of Labor Commissioner for the citizens of Georgia having such a mind where he does not even take in consideration the humanity of women? That's so stuck in his own political ideologies that he can't see what is happening to women across this country and across this state. And so I look to be your next Georgia Labor Commissioner that's going to stand with organized labor, shoulder to shoulder, to fight for Georgia working families and to fight for our small business owners. I want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity in the state of Georgia having a living wage paying job. So you don't have to go from job 1 to job 2 to job 3 to make ends meet. I want to partner with our labor unions and to amplify the apprenticeship programs that they already have. So if you want to start as early as 10th grade and get a vocational trade in construction, in cybersecurity, in cosmetology, you can have that and get that done. So when you graduate from high school, you'll have a living wage paying job. And I'm also going to fight to make sure we have safe working places throughout the state of Georgia. I'm also going to fight to make sure that we have a situation in this state where all women will be paid equally as their male counterparts. And I'm going to fight for paid paternal leave for all parents in the state of Georgia as well. And as your next Georgia Labor Commissioner, I'm never going to get tired and I'm going to keep fighting. And my grandmother, if she was still alive, they would say, we're going through some tough times right now. Some critical times. But I want to say this, and she would have said the same thing. She would say, tough times are made for tough people. Oh! Democrats, we are tough people. Yeah! That's it. And so right now, look, gloom and doom. Republicans are trying to suppress the rights of African American and people of color across the state and country to vote. But we're not going to let that deter us. Right now, Republicans won't even expand Medicaid. Won't even expand Medicaid after we have now lost 2 metro hospitals within a year. East Point, mine, Wellstar, East Point, Southside, closed last year. Wellstar AMC closed earlier this month. 2 weeks ago, actually, less than 2 weeks ago. And now Grady Memorial Hospital that services the citizens of Fulton County and DeKalb County may be having their services strained even more by losing AMC. But if we were to expand Medicaid, we would be able to provide 500,000 citizens with affordable health care. But we will also create 64,000 living wage paying jobs. So I'm going to say to you today, I'm going to be the labor commissioner that puts labor back in the Department of Labor. I'm going to be the labor commissioner for North Georgia, South Georgia, Middle Georgia, Coastal Georgia, Metro Atlanta, Georgia. I'm going to be the Georgia labor commissioner, and I'm going to make sure that we put people over profits.
Yes.
So I need you, DeKalb County Democrats, we need you to vote up and down the ballot in November. We need to get your friends out to vote. We need to make sure that we get Democrats that care about labor and pro-worker legislation elected. We need to get a pro-labor governor elected in Leader Stacey Abrams. We need to get a pro-labor lieutenant governor elected in Charlotte Bailey. And we need to get a labor commission that cares about labor in William Modi elected as well. And we need to get a secretary of state, and we win, that's already a part of labor and a part of IBEW Local 613. Yeah. And I need you all to do this for me. I need you all to go out and fight, and get people to the polls, because Democrats, we can win big up and down the ballot in November, but we got to do it because time is now, the chance is now. It's been 20 years too long. Yes. Too long when we lost the majority of this state. It's 20 years too long, and we got to get the majority back, and we can do what everyone in this room fighting for Democratic values and fighting to do the right thing for Georgia workers and not just the 1%. Let's go, Georgia. Let's go, Democrats. Let's get it done in November. And let's get Democrats elected. And let's get a Democratic governor, a Democratic secretary of state, a Democratic labor commission, a Democratic LG, a Democratic insurance commission, a Democratic superintendent, and a Democratic attorney general, and a Democratic ag commission. Thank you all. Good afternoon, DeKalb County. Before I say anything, I want to introduce for just a brief time to speak the hardest working man in DeKalb County politics, the president of the National Association of County Commissioners, the man who makes the community move in DeKalb County, Commissioner Larry Johnson.
Well, yeah, Democrats. We got to do this. We just heard from our Secretary of State, our Labor Commissioner. It's all about how we get folks out here and connected in everything that we do. They talked about it, the barbershops, the nail technicians, having a one-stop shop for labor. Could you imagine going, if you're unemployed, to go one place and getting a job skills, life skills? And it started with this man right here, but now Bodie want to take the charge. It's also getting our state representatives and senators re-elected and put back in. Where y'all at, our state senators, our candidates? Imani, Cyrus, where you at? Old young people back there, let me tell them in the house. Carla Drenner, her birthday. Becky Evans, Angela Moore. Where y'all at? We gotta get them in the house They set the foundation for where we go as a nation, as a state, and they have the budget to make things happen. So I'm excited. We got to get out here and hit the streets, y'all. It's too quiet. It's too quiet. We're too quiet. We got to act like we got left. We got to do it. Do we want it?
Yes!
When do we want it?
Yes!
Do we want it?
Yes!
We got to go take it, y'all. We can't wait for somebody else. Forget the polls. I don't care about no polls. I don't care about the polls, Becky. We got to have it. We got the folks. We got to have. I see my Ellenwood folks in the house. We got to have it. Ellenwood in the house. This is our time. This is our season. We got to step up, y'all. Everybody in this room, we got to connect with everybody. We got our CEO, Michael Thurman. This man is here. We got to let him know that DeKalb County is in the house and doing it. So, man, without our CEO, Michael Thurman, I'm glad to be working with him to make things happen because we got to get Democrats elected up and down, up and down, up and down. So I'm going to turn it over to the man who does it good in DeKalb, who got us a surplus budget, who's working on sidewalks, getting roads paved. He's working to make sure Grady stays funded.
Yes.
He's getting our code enforcement on public safety, economic development. This man goes around DeKalb County and making sure he looks out for everybody. Serving the underserved. Making sure folks at the table who need to be at the table, not on the menu. Let's give it up for our CEO, Mike Thurman. I love Mike. I like Mike. I like Mike.
You heard, I just want to share some history with you of polls. When Harriet Tubman escaped from the plantation, the poll said she'd never get the freedom.
Come on, Mike.
When George Washington led the Patriots across the Delaware River in the middle of the winter, the poll said that they would never survive. When Martin Luther King and Andrew Young and Ralph Abernathy said that we're going to break Jim Crow, the poll said that black folk would never be free in America. A personal privilege, if you will. In 1998, on the last poll that was put out on the Labor Commissioner's race, William Bowden, Mike Thurman was 8 points down.
The poll said.
But that's what the poll said. But the people said.
The people.
But the people said. And the people will say that Stacey Abrams gonna be the next governor of Georgia. But the people gonna say that Charlie gonna be the next lieutenant governor of Georgia. The poll, but Wynn will be the next Secretary of State of the state of Georgia. The polls say, don't say what the people say, because the people said Bodie will be the next Commissioner of Labor for the state of Georgia. God bless you.
All right.
Thank you
All right.
for not giving up,
Yes.
not giving out, not giving in. And I ain't no preacher, but if T.D. Jakes was here, when you look at the polls, he said the devil is what?
It's liar.
Get ready.
All right, here you go.
CEO, we're getting ready to move on to a church. First, I want to call up any of the representatives that would like to speak that have co-hosted this event. Syra, Amani, Angela. If you want to say a quick word to greet everyone, and then we're going to turn it over to Molly Cook of Georgia Votes. Delicious carrot birthday cake, best ever, is ready, so you don't get yourself a piece. Yes, so thank you. So I'm going to turn over to Dr. Amani Vaughn.
Lithonia and some of Stonecrest, so that's a very long, diverse demographic of a district. So I'm standing here today ready to represent every city and county, or not county, but every city in that district. I am a mother, I'm a single mother. I am a scientist, I'm a biomedical research scientist. I've been at Emory for 13 years. I also have my master's in public health, and I'm writing my dissertation for my PhD in public health. Wow. So I'm a part of the LGBTQ plus community. I'm also an African American woman, so I represent so many different groups. I represent so many different demographics. I am a little older than I probably look. I hear, baby, how old are you? Are you old enough to run? But I'm 40 years old. And I'm here as a freshman representative to connect the youth to politics. I'm here to connect the middle-aged adults to politics, and I'm also standing here and representing the seniors. And so, but my main issue is our youth, our disparities in education, our disparities in homelessness, and how do we bring our youth to politics, and how do we address issues by involving our youth, because they have so many different ideas, they handle things differently, and so that's public health. Public health is bridging the gap and improving the quality of life for everybody. So I'm ready to bring my education, and I am also a product of the DeKalb County public school system. I'm a graduate of Druid Hills High School. I graduated from Briar Vista Elementary, and these are my stomping grounds. So being from here, being raised here, graduating from public school here, and I'm now raising my son in public school here. So all of that, I'm ready to stand for DeKalb and the Capitol. I'm ready to bring science to politics. I'm ready to bring youth to politics. And so those are my issues. I am heavy on social media. That is the way of the world right now. So sometimes we have to address things through social media, but I'm also boots on the ground. So you'll see me in the community. So I thank you for having me. I thank you for the leadership that's ahead of me, that's leading me and teaching me. And I thank you for everyone that's here, because it's all about community. If we don't have community, we'll never make it in keeping the state blue and turning the House and the Senate blue. So thank you guys for being here, and follow me on social media, Imani, Georgia. Thank you.
Next one, I call up Simon Draper for House District 90.
So I'm Syra Draper. I am the Democratic candidate for House District 90 in DeKalb County. The best district. Formerly House District 89. And yeah, I'm a, let's see, so it's B's district. So B was up here today. We'll be hopefully taking over for B. I'm a immigrant. I am a mother. I am a civil rights attorney, a voting rights expert, and I'm running for this position to help people. But you know what, this is a pep rally. So I want to tell you about an event I went to yesterday where I got goosebumps. It was an event for all our competitive seats in the House legislature. Because y'all, we're gonna take over all of these statewide seats in Georgia, and then we're gonna take over the state legislature too. And that's what we're really gonna change the kind of policies in the state. We're gonna change the ones we wanna see. And we had all of those candidates, there were about 15 of them, speak at this event last night, all Democrats. And most of them I had met before, I had seen their stump speeches before, but there was something about seeing them all go one by one after the other. And the diversity on that stage, I mean, all kinds of diversity, all over the state, the racial diversity, the gender diversity, the diversity of ideas and backgrounds. And I just, you know, I said I got goosebumps because this is the Democratic Party, right? This is us. This is us. This reflects Georgia. And make sure that is the policies we have to go through, which is why DeKalb County in particular is so special. Because if we get just a little bit more out of DeKalb County, if we increase turnout in DeKalb County by 1-2%, it is a game changer across this entire state. in it with us to convey that message out across the state and across this county. So anyways, thank you so much, and let's knock some doors.
Thank you so much. Hiram Baker. I want to call up Representative Angela Moore, who, what's your new House District? 91. Yes.
Operating in 90.
Yay. So she helped arrange for the food from This Is It Caterers and made the beautiful birthday cakes, the yummy carrot cake. But here we go. Representative Moore.
We frosted the wrong cake. But it's still a good cake. Somebody else got the carrot cake. I'm sorry. I already made my apologies to the birthday girl. Anyway, so I'm so proud to be first that Stacy would put her headquarters in DeKalb here in District 91. So thank you, Neighbors Campaign. And I just only wanted to make two things because I always get down to the little small things in life. So Stacy and all of us are talking about the expansion of healthcare here in Georgia. And what people don't realize, the average person doesn't realize what expansion means. Two things about this that should stick with all of us. It means dental care for the less fortunate. And we all know how expensive dental care is. It is central to heart health, and until we start getting dental care, we're gonna have a lot of unhappy people and a lot more deaths in this state than normal. So it includes dental care. But for us older people or people who are taking care of older people, your parents or your grandparents, it means that after they have come from the hospital and they've spent that 20 days in rehab, if they have to go to a nursing home, it doesn't force you to sell your parents' house. It pays for long-term care. Those are just two little things that we need to remember. It pays for long-term care. When my dad was took ill about a year and a half ago, we had to decide whether we were gonna give all his Social Security over to the nursing home, whether we were gonna let them bleed his account dry, and they only give him $39 a month out of his check, and he smoked cigars, so he smoked about $50 worth of cigars every month. He would have never survived in a nursing home. So, taking all of their assets, and if your parents own a home, a nursing home forces you to give up your parents' cars, give up their legacy to you, sell their home. So we really need to expand health care. We have two people running for governor. We need a new governor. Please, please, please get out on the street. Emphasize that we need a change in the state of Georgia, regardless of what party they are associated with. We need a new governor with new ideals for the new generation who thinks 7 generations ahead of us. So let's please get out there and just elect a new governor, Stacey Abrams.
Thank you so much, Representative Moore. And now I want to call on Molly Cook with the coordinated campaign. Molly, are you available? Yeah, come on up, come on up. So now we've had this wonderful kickoff. We really appreciate all of you showing up and showing out today. And our next step is we need to go out there and connect with the voters. And Molly has worked on creating turfs for us, and we are well organized. I'm going to turn it over to her. Thank you so much, Molly.
Hi, y'all. Thanks so much for coming. Had a great event today. Thank you to all the speakers who came and gave us their time. I know they're all busy, so I'm so glad they came. Also, thank you to This Is It Catering. The food was great today, so shout out for them. All right, I know it's raining. I know it's not perfect, sunny, beautiful day weather, but you know what? It's not hot. I think that's a bright side. beat you to that. It's big enough having Nancy towards us today. We'll do a really quick tutorial for people who've never canvassed before. I've got scripts we can show y'all. And then my organizers are all back there. I've got Zach, Bridgman, Rosea, and Don, and me. And we'll show y'all how to go through the script and how to use the little app we use for canvassing. It's real simple. And yep, they're standing back there with the vote signs. We're all wearing these shirts. We're easy to find. And we'll go through that. If y'all need to go out with a partner, we're here for that. We've got some experienced canvassers here today who have already offered to help. So you can go with a buddy. It'll be really fun. I love knocking doors. I'm happy to go out with someone today. Let's get this done. Let's win.
So I have some questions. So Molly, if they have other plans for this afternoon, what else can they do to help with the campaign?
So I also have some sign-out sheets. If you need to door knock in the next couple of days, great, love it, happy to have your help. We've got some sign-out sheets. So if you want to sign your name to a list and take it out in the next couple of days, that's great. We'll follow up with you probably by like the end of next week or whatever. Just tell the organizer what you want to do. If you say, hey, I'm looking to knock doors on Monday, is that cool? Take a list, we'll write your name down, and we can follow up with you to make sure we get all the data, because data is important for all these candidates who are here today. But yeah, if you're looking to do that, we can definitely sign you up for that.
I have one more question. What kind of voters will we be connecting with today? This is really important, y'all.
That is a great question. So right now it is September 10th. We have 58 days until the election. Not that much time. That is less than 2 months, y'all. But what we're working on right now is persuasion. What we're doing is talking to people who are undecided or that we don't have a lot of data on. There are a ton of folks around this area that we just don't know how they're voting. We know they're voting kind of infrequently here and there. We don't know how they're voting. We have got to talk to these folks, because those thin slice of voters is that razor thin margin of victory that we saw in 2020 and 2021. Those are the folks that are going to decide the election. We need to talk to them right now. We don't have that much time left. Y'all are starting to see the ads pick up on TV, on radio, on Hulu. Those ads are going to get more and more frequent, and those persuasion, the opportunity we have to convince these people to come out, to vote Democrats, to vote for their best interests, that window is going to slam shut in about 3 weeks. Because those ads are going to start picking up, and then the noise gets too loud, people won't listen to us. We can convince these people if we talk to them now. They need a conversation with a human being who is just going to tell them about their life. And that is what we're doing today. So those folks we're talking to in the next couple weeks are really, really important.
Great, thank you so much. Thanks to everyone for coming out for the kickoff for Canvas DeKalb, and we look forward to all working with you and turning out the vote. Remember, Georgia wins here in DeKalb.